Today I'm going to try and make a shelf. I'm going to build a shelf that's 40 inches tall, 40 inches wide, and probably 8 or 9 inches deep. The top and bottom boards are going to be larger. I'm going to make them 40 inches across. However, the shelves in between, there'll be 2 shelves in between, those will probably be 38 inches because I want a lip on either side in case you need to pick this shelf up and move it. I also plan on putting plastic feet underneath of it so that it doesn't scrape across the floor. So the first thing to do is to prepare these boards. So I'm going to run them through the planer, both sides. Once they're smooth and level and all set, I will router the top or the sides and the front. I think I'll use a Roman Oji. I like that cut for the top and the bottom. And I think I'll stain it in a dark walnut only because we have brown is our house, and we have a dark brown china hutch, a light brown china hutch, some other things. I think it'll blend in rather than hot pink with yellow polka dots. So the first thing I'm going to do is run it through the planer. Let's do that now. All right, let's push these through, flatten them out, and make sure that they're all level. You know, this thing is the handiest tool I've ever bought. Actually, I didn't buy it. My wife bought it for me as a gift for Christmas, I believe. It doesn't take away the need for sanding, but almost. Now, I like to plane both sides to make sure there are no divots, no valleys, no hills, no other impediments. You know, I'll set the depth and then make 4 or 5 passes through the planer for each side. So for these 2 boards, I'm looking at what? 16 passes through the planer. So with that said, let's get after it. I need to make one cut 40 inches long for the top boards. So we'll go 40 inches here. I am old and I am blind. All right. I guess you don't really need the square, but because the miter saw is going to cut flush, but I like to see a line. And so, I should end up with 2 boards, each 40 inches in length. And Boutros by golly, I'm thinking that's what I'll have. I will lay one board upon the other. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's one right there. I will hold these together with wood clamps so that the boards don't move while they're being cut. And as usual, let's get to it. Alright then, there you have it. I don't usually clamp these boards down because I feel like I can hold it. I'm going to router the front as well as both sides of the top and bottom boards. And I've already picked out which sides I want to show, the top and or the bottom. So, without further hesitation and or interruption, let's get after it after we get some ears on. Why am I always forgetting that? I have limited space in which to work. My wood shop is actually just my half of the garage. So if I can work outside of the garage, that's a plus. On top of that, cleanup is much easier. I just come out here with a leaf blower and blow the driveway clean. This Roman Oji, it leaves such a nice border. I really like that. Now I have my bottom boards and my top boards. When I'm done with the router, I will sand these so there's absolutely no danger of splinters. I went ahead and cut 2 boards that will end up being my shelves, because we're going to have a bottom board which will be a shelf in itself, a second shelf, a third shelf, and then this top board will be the 4th shelf. I used the Roman Ogee on the top and bottom pieces, but I think for the shelving units themselves, I'm going to use a round over bit, and I'll round over both sides because I just think it gives a cleaner look. And then I will worry about how to facilitate the sideboards in a minute, because I really haven't worked that out. I'm old, and not only am I deaf, I'm blind. Now, for whatever reason, you've probably already figured out, I am not a professional. I just do this for amusement. I do it to save some money instead of buying furniture. And I do it for gifts. You know, I've given out signs and keychains and just all kinds of things. What I've learned is not to put this cap down all the way, because that will mark up your wood. So I raise it just to the edge so that it gives a nice, well, round over. So if I pick the front and the back of the boards, and I have. I'm only going to do the front of these shelving boards because the sides are going to be affixed to the sideboards. I'm sure there's some professional woodworking name for it. I don't know what it is. That is pretty much that. And of course I'm going to go over this with a sander, but that just gives such a professional look to these shelving units. And I'm just real pleased. Like I said, I'm going to run over these with a sander just to make sure that there's no splinters and to clean them up. It's pine, which is fairly soft wood, so you don't need to beat them up with a, you know, an 80 or 100 grit sandpaper, I don't think. I run over these with 150 grit, and then for the top and bottom I will probably run them through the planer just to make sure they're all uniform. The sanding is just to clean it up and make sure that there's no splinters or ugly loose ends. So, as I'm so fond of saying, let's get to it. as they say, is that. Nary a sharp edge or a splinter on any of these boards. I think I'm going to run them through the planer one more time, and then we'll get to staining. Thanks for hanging in there. Moving right along, I've discovered a few things with this video. I started using my cell phone instead of my Nikon D750 because, oddly enough, the video is better. However, the sound is not. I'm sorry about that. I've got microphones ordered. I didn't realize I needed a remote microphone. So I'll try to speak up. I also shot video of me staining these boards for my wife's canning cabinet. However, all I had was good clothes, and so I did so shirtless, which YouTube doesn't allow and you don't want to see anyway. So, long story short, I've got 6 boards. They're all stained. They've all been covered with polyurethane, and I believe they're ready to be put together. I've got the first shelf. Actually, the bottom plate is behind me. This will be the first shelf, the one we rounded over. The second shelf, which again, we've rounded over. The top plate, which is drying because I used a router to router my wife's name in the top portion. Then I covered it in polyurethane. It's drying. And these 2 side plates. Now, the side plates, I'll try and bring them up here. I routed some divots in there. I'm sure there's some woodworking term. I don't know what it is. The shelves will fit in there like so. And this side is rounded off. So it's now time to start trying to put this board together. I'm not sure how to video that, but I'll figure it out. All right, managed to finally get it together. What I'm doing now is wiping off the excess wood filler because I used screws to attach the top plate to the rest of the shelving unit. You want to wipe that off. You can't hardly see. I successfully matched the color. I had the backing that I tacked all the way across. Let's turn around and see how we did. The canning shelf for my wife as a birthday gift. As you can see, it still needs dusted off, but well, you can't see. Well, let's try this. No, let's try this. I'll just try narrating maybe. I wanted to put those braces in so that she could, you know, without hesitation, stack heavy canned goods. I was going to put a brace between that top shelf and the one right below it, but my wife said she'd prefer not. So, there it is. Best I could do. Well, now we're come to the end. I finished the shelving unit for my wife. She will shortly fill it up with canned goods, canning, whatever she wants. It's hers, my birthday gift to her. I'm fairly proud of how it came out. So I'm going to get off this camera and show you some of what I did and some of the mistakes. I added up all the receipts with stain and boards, polyurethane. It came to around $90. I don't think you could buy a shelf like this for $90. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't think you can. So, let's get to looking at this shelf and then we'll be done with this. Right now, it just has a few canned goods and some other minutia on it. I made a mistake in that I tried to hurry with the polyurethane, and so I got uneven. You should do one thin coat, let it dry, and then do another thin coat and let it dry. Do another thin coat and let it dry. I was in a hurry. I routed my wife's name. This is wood filler, trying to hide the screws, and I needed to polyurethane that. That's another mistake I made, but other than that, I think I would have measured and not routed out that shelf all the way, but that leads me to, if I choose later to put another piece in. Other than that, I really like the finish. These are just pine boards. This wood filler I thought matched when I put it in, but that's another screw hole. Those are bracing units so that she can put heavier things on there. I asked her if she wanted one on the right here, but she said no. And since it was hers, I did what she asked. Again, that is Minwax Mocha is the color. Dark stained mocha, and man, I dig it. Those are about the only mistakes I made. For somebody that has only been doing this a year and a half, I'm fairly proud. So there it is. $90 worth of wood. Took me 3 days. And I'm fairly pleased. That's the end. I'll be posting more videos as I build more things. And if it helps, then it helps you. If it doesn't, at least you get to see some guy struggle and fumble his way through building things, because I don't have much of a clue as to what I'm doing. But if you're careful, you can build nice things.